Today we talk EdTech, primarily Google Classroom. Hello and welcome to Teacher Learning Cast, episode number 20, this day, September 1st, 2018. My name is Benjamin Stewart, calling from beautiful Aguascalientes, Mexico.
My name is Piry Herrera, and we are good to go today, September the 1st, and we're going to be having an interesting talk here from Aguascalientes, Mexico. Dr. Benjamin Stewart, it's always a pleasure to have this casual conversations, which sometimes become really professional, and we get deep into philosophy and thoughts, and sometimes it's just what comes out of our minds, and we enjoy having these talks. Welcome everybody that is following this broadcast and that watches also on the on-demand video later on.
Absolutely, Pity. I can't believe this is our 20th episode. Time flies when you're having fun, as they say. We really enjoy these conversations. Again, as Pity was saying, these are very casual conversations. Every week we come together and we share some of our experiences, things that we want to talk about. Both Pity and I we teach in a BA program in teacher education, and oftentimes we find ourselves sharing information and experiences face to face, since our offices are next to each other. So we have a lot of time to share ideas face to face. And we decided at the beginning of this year to offer this broadcast to extend the conversation to those who want to participate. So we have a Facebook page. If you search Teacher Learning Cast in Facebook, you'll find our public page that you can find all of the past recordings of our broadcast there, and you can be part of the conversation. So a lot of everything that we broadcast, that we have a series of recordings that are available to anyone. And we want to encourage anyone who wants to really participate in our live discussion that you may do that as well. We've had some great interviews in the past, and certainly look forward to having more of those here in the future. In fact, we want to try something different that we've never tried before, and we'll see how this goes. But to encourage others to perhaps come into our live broadcast and be part of the conversation, we want to try to share the link to the Hangout. We're using Hangouts on Air here, which is part of Google. And I've shared, in fact, PD, the link. Maybe you can share that in the broadcast and Facebook, and invite anyone who wants to actually join us today to do so. We're going to have a very casual conversation today about educational technology. Petey and I want to spend a little bit of time today talking about some technologies that we're using this semester currently in our courses. But more importantly, we'd like to hear from you. We'd like to know what kind of technologies you're using this semester, why you're using them, and how you're using them, and perhaps maybe even challenges that you're facing with using technology. Or if you just want to talk about why you don't want to use technology, that's all good as well. So, Biddy, if you don't mind, if you can post that link, and we would be happy to bring in some other voices in this conversation. Or if you just want to attend and listen and watch and be part of the recording, that's all fine as well.
Yes, I couldn't have said it better, because that's what it all started when we started to have these frequent conversations. We had been working for a while together. Sometimes we had some things to do together, isolated situations and different strands to work at here at the university. Me personally working on the teaching practicum for students. Teachers, pre-service teachers, which are at the beginning of their formation and sometimes at the end. And that's pretty much what I work with, or in the area of English for specific purposes introduction. Dr. Benjamin Stewart going through the linguistic strand and specializing on the idea of writing composition and all these technical aspects with the APA format and essays, production, and formal papers. So going through different paths, we ran into each other casually in. It all started as always with one single conversation, and it became a series of conversations from which we started to enhance our reflection and enhance our ideas, and as a consequence our teaching. And that's how this idea came up. Teacher Learning Cast, it's an extended version, as you well said it, Benjamin, an extended version of those talks, just to share with others, and primarily hoping that somebody along the line in some moment join us and ask us and share with us whatever you are doing right now, whatever you intend to do, whatever topic you want to discuss. If you go to prior programs, you will see different topics, which sometimes we cover very superficially, but we can go back again and retake some topics. We invite you mainly to participate, make comments, ask questions, give us your opinion, because whatever we said in here is merely that, our opinion and our experience, just to see how we ourselves, Benjamin and I, can also enhance what we are doing from your comments.
I think one of the main things here that we look at, one of our philosophies, and we've never really talked about specifically this, but just the process of sharing is a learning experience, right? So I think that we come from a perspective of, yes, we have some opinions, we have some ideas, but we're lifelong learners like everyone else. And I think I can speak for Piry when I say that just the process of coming together every week, like we do on Saturday mornings, to share some of our ideas, we really learn a lot from these discussions. We learn a lot from what other people have to say, what each other has to say. And again, we've had the pleasure of having some great interviews in the past, which have been really great learning experiences as well. So we come from a place of openness, transparency, and hopefully if others feel that they have something to share, that you feel free to voice your opinion. If you disagree with us, if you don't even like something that we're doing in this broadcast, it's all good. All feedback that we receive is constructive, and we appreciate that. So let's go ahead, and I want to get started in talking about some of the technology. I just want to throw out one more event that that's coming up here. We teach at the Universidad Autónoma de Aguascalientes, and we are having a conference in September, actually this month, next in about 2 weeks, September 10th and 11th. Yeah. We're going to have a conference. So hopefully we'll have an opportunity to interview some folks there, and some educators and some students who are participating in this event. But if you are here locally in Aguascalientes, we invite you to come and check it out, come and visit, and learn with all of us here at the conference at the Universidad Autónoma de Aguascalientes.
Yes, indeed. I'm having also a talk there. I'm going to be discussing about reflection for long life learning, and it'll be interesting. It's going to be September the 10th and the 11th. You can join us. We're going to have different guests, and we're going to have invited people. We're going to have the students participating. We're going to have our own talks. We're going to try to do some live transmissions, and we hope you can somehow be part of this event. Finally, for this segment, I'd like to invite you all to follow us in our social network. It's easy. You just Google Teacher Learning Cast Benjamin Stewart or Teacher Learning Cast Piry Herrera, and you will find all our links for social networks, for Facebook, for our web pages, and for the YouTube channel also, which is Benjamin's channel, and everything we had for you there. So today, the idea for today is mainly to discuss a little bit about what we're planning, well, not planning, actually already doing in this semester about technology in the classroom. I know, Benjamin, you every semester, you spend a serious amount of time deciding, selecting, adapting, transforming whatever you got, or looking for new ways to do it. I'm a little bit more statical in that sense. I tend to stand in my comfort zone in that sense. But I always, whether I decide to stay with one single technology or keep on the same track, it doesn't mean I don't go through the thought. And especially since I've been talking to you about this during this beginning of the semester, it really moved my mind to start deciding, making a decision what to do, whether to migrate for this semester, what options do I have available. And at the end, well, in my case, I decided to stay with the same, but I know you got very interesting things to share. I think we made comments about it last transmission or a couple of transmissions ago. But tell us, Ben, what you gonna do? Fire away.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. Every semester, I kind of reevaluate what works, what doesn't, and I'm constantly trying to tweak the technologies, trying to find the best combination of technologies in order to hopefully have a better learning experience for my students, or to create a better learning experience for my learners. And this semester, I really wanted to try to focus on streamlining the technology, or the process by which students use technology in the classroom. And this semester, really for the first time, I've always used Google in the past, but I really wanted to dive in this semester with Google, some of the services that Google offers, and primarily because there is a Google Classroom. There have been recent changes to Google Classroom that I really wanted to try and see how it would work in my context. And one of the things that was appealing to Google Classroom for me, and Google in general, was the simplicity of it. And one of the assumptions that I made at the beginning of the year, and we talked last week, one of our broadcasts last week was about how to start the new year. And I talked a little bit about some of the technologies I use, but trying to get to know the students and get started with how to reach out to students that first day and really try to connect with them. But with regard to technology, I really wanted to get the point of entry as easy as possible. That is, I wanted students to be able to get into the technology as soon as possible and make that learning curve as easy and quickly as possible. And so with Google, the assumption I had was that most students already have a Google account. Okay, and that was really the case. That turned out to be the case this semester. This semester, I'm currently teaching. I have 3 groups, and one group is a third semester composition course, and the other course is a propedeutic course where students are focusing on writing. It's a writing 1 course, and students in the writing 1 course are at about a A2, maybe a low B1 level. Students in the composition class, the third semester, are typically at a B1, B2 level. And so both courses have a lot of things in common, and that is writing, primarily academic writing. And so that's kind of the context with which I'll speak about some of the technologies that I'm going to share with you today. It's a writing course, and it's really to promote their writing skills, writing and thinking skills. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here and get started. And when I begin, really, I'm going to talk a lot about writing 1 primarily, but I wanted to share with you this map, or this scheme of work. Yes.
Just before you start with the specifics about this, I want to stress something you mentioned, which I think it's really, really relevant. Students already know the tech in that sense. You chose at the end something that resulted in the idea that students already got an account. I'm guessing that Google is one of the most known platforms here in Mexico, and I think that's a big advantage when they already know the tech, because of many reasons. It builds up very quickly, just not to get into details, but very quickly. It first of all, it gives them a lot of confidence because they already know the tech. They may be even more than experts, more than ourselves. And on the other side, this starts to give them a sense that we start building things from things they already handle and domain. So confidence raises a lot. I think it's one of the most important things to consider when making a decision on tech.
Yeah, and yeah, I couldn't agree more. That's one of the things that you want to think about and really evaluate. And it's not so much just what the students are used to, but also the resources that are currently available
Right.
to you at the institution or school that you work, obviously. So we're really lucky enough in our context to have broadband for the most part, and we have screens in our classrooms. So we feel fortunate. We have some advantages of, when we make decisions about technology, we already have an infrastructure set in for us where the classroom is already equipped with technology. Students have access. And of course, this is going to be a variable for each one of us as teachers to when we're deciding what kind of technology will work, what's currently available, and what access to students have to technology. So yeah, that's another thing I want to kind of throw out there. All right, so to get started here, I just want to kind of briefly look over a map or a scheme of work that I try to keep in mind, or that at least I'm actually creating. I wouldn't call it a scheme of work necessarily. I'm actually, part of this is planned beforehand, and part of it I'm planning on a week-to-week basis. So I'll explain what I mean by that. The content in column B here, you'll notice that I have a series of questions. So for my Writing 1 course, and again, this is for learners at about an A2 level, so they're just primarily starting to think about writing for the first time in English and in their L2, they're in their additional language. And so these questions, although I only have up to the 6th week, I already have all the questions that I plan to introduce for this semester. I've already figured out which questions I'm going to ask each week. So that's already pre-planned. And the skills are pretty much planned according to the syllabus. But what I am kind of coming up with on the fly are the interactional patterns. And what I'm trying to do is introduce different interactional patterns that students can participate in. So for example, in the 2nd week of class, it was primarily individual work. And what I'm trying to do is each week create a series of tasks. I'm kind of following a task-based learning approach this semester, looking at each week as a series of tasks. And I really design the tasks each week depending on the interactional patterns that they are going to do. So the 2nd week looked a lot different than the 3rd week, where I asked them to, in fact, this week, we just finished our 3rd week of class, and students were working in groups of 3 and 4. So that really changed the dynamic and the different tasks that I asked them to do. So the idea here is to try to mix as many different interactional patterns throughout the semester as possible, according to the skills that they're focusing on that particular week, as well as the essential question that they are looking at. That is the content. What's the topic that they are to write about in this case? I'm also indicating each week which person, first person, second person, or third person, I'm asking students to write, so that they get a chance to exercise different types of persons as far as how they're writing. So next week we're going to focus on a narrative, so they're going to write in the first person. So far they've been writing descriptive text, but the point here is that there's a lot of planning going on here as far as interactional patterns, rhetorical patterns in this case, since it's a writing course, skills, of course, what kind of skill development and punctuation, capitalization, grammar, vocabulary, and the actual content. But I'm breaking it down per week, and these are decisions that I'm making as I'm making decisions about the technology that I use. So, of course, I'm using, in this case, Google Sheets to create this map. But more importantly, the idea is that they're the normal planning one would do when you're using technology. I think it even becomes more important because you really need to make sure that the technology you use best sets out to achieve all of these objectives that I've listed here as an example. And of course, it may look slightly different based on the type of course that you're teaching, But the point here is that the technology should set out to reach those different goals and objectives that you have set for yourself and for the students for your course.
Sorry,
So
I may have missed a little bit if you already mentioned that. Is this available for students?
It's not at this time. I honestly, I just started thinking about this particular map, adding the interactional patterns and the rhetoric, the writing rhetoric and the person this week. So I haven't really decided yet if I'm going to share this with them. At this point, I don't feel necessarily a need to do that because they already have access. And let me show you what I mean by this. They already have access to the content questions. All right. So let me just jump over to the Google Classroom. So let me back up and show you the main page. This is what Google Classroom looks like from the main page. So as the teacher, you're going to have different classes that you can set up. And in this case, I have 3 classes, and one of them actually being Teacher Learning Cast. I'll talk a little bit about that maybe at the end of the broadcast. But this semester, I'm working with the Writing 1 class and the Composition class, right? So I've got Writing 1, and as I open up this class, you'll notice that it's divided into 3 sections. There's a stream, there's a classwork section, and then there's a people section. People being all the students that I have currently in the course. So in the stream is really just like a kind of a news feed type of space where I can post announcements and students can reply. So here, you know, this is more kind of a daily type of post as I focus on certain things each day, or if I need a tutorial video that I feel that the students can benefit from, I'll upload it to YouTube and then I will include it here. So for example, students were having problems with changing the unit measure in Google Docs. So I created a short video and they have access here that they can watch to get additional assistance on how to change the unit of measure so that they can use the ruler to create an indentation.
Ben,
so, yeah.
Something that we talked about this a little bit when you were starting with this design, like around the end of July, I guess, before the beginning of the semester. And when I explore it and I started to look at it, the first thing I saw is that it's kind of simple, which can be viewed from different angles. The first thing is that I would tell people that is not that into tech or people that is just getting into technology right now, it may be very useful because it's simple, it's friendly, and you don't have that much options in there to get lost. So it's not that easy. I'll put it in these words. It's not that easy to get lost in this platform because it's just simple and it's really, really friendly. On the other side, maybe if you're a person that it's very used to tech and you have a lot of things, it may be too simple. But anyhow, as I can see in Ben's right now, because I can tell the difference right now from the time we talked in July about it, you can use other technological aspects that you've been using, like the YouTube videos or whatever you have for students prepare in sheets, in formats, in I don't know, maybe you can even have links to web sites or whatever you need in here. And it's still a simple platform that you may look at it very limited, but you can enhance it through whatever other resources you use. So I think that's something I see as an advantage in here. You can approach it from different angles. And obviously, as just rephrasing, if you are if you are used to using a lot of technology, it may be too simple. If you are not that used to using technology, I think it's something you want to try because it's friendly.
Yeah, and just to give you another example of the ease of use, I asked students this week to divide up into groups of 3 and 4, right? So the students just easily went into this link. I asked them to post their groups. I asked them to form their own groups, and they listed their groups accordingly. So it was just a very seamless process. There was no issue about how to post or anything. It was just very easy for them. And this is just one of many examples, but from day one, any type of response that I asked them to post or reply to in the Google Classroom stream was quite easy for them. So yeah, this is the stream here. As Piry was saying, it's very easy to integrate other aspects of Google. So I have videos here, but I've also, in the other class, I'll show some examples here in a few minutes of other sources from my blog page, for example. But like an error code list, like I post a PDF. Now this PDF is located in my Google Drive. So I'm not uploading, I'm basically just linking my Google a file from Google Drive into Google Classroom. And this is an easy way for, in this case, to share an error code list. And if they have questions about what different codes are, they can post it here as a comment. Or, of course, they ask in class, and we talk about it in class. But there's different ways that they can get information. And that's the whole point of really using technology for me, is that students have different ways to experience the same class. So if some students gravitate towards technology and they want to post questions privately or outside of class, they can do so by replying to this post in the stream. Some are going to prefer to ask questions in class. So it really doesn't matter to me how they participate. It's just that if they do have questions, they have a way of reaching out to me and asking those questions. And sometimes it may be the case where students aren't sure how to participate, so I may have to intervene and try to give them suggestions on how they can participate, because some students also are very used to having the teacher say, okay, you must do this, or you have to do it this way, and this is the only way that you can do it. And some students actually become used to that type of environment. And so sometimes it's an adjustment to actually show the students that they actually have flexibility and they can make some of these decisions for themselves, and giving them the opportunities to do that.
So you can like, if you want to upload a file, you upload your Word document. If you want to type there, you can type actually there the answer. If you want to link your other technological platforms like Drive, like, I don't know, any other, or your website where you can have the homework done or written, is that what they can do?
Yeah, so let me get into the kind of the nuts and bolts of it. So I'm in this stream here. So I'm going to post an announcement. So this is going to give me, the instructor, several options, right? So I can post, my message. I can post my message here, whatever. And there's a lot of room for text. I can make this as long as I want. So I can provide a lot of text if need be. But notice here, I've got basically 4 options. I can upload an attachment directly from my computer. I can open up my Google Drive, and that will open up my drive and have access to basically any of the documents that I have on my drive.
So that our audience, our basic technological audience that get lost, we are looking at Google Classroom, which Benjamin is using in his class this semester. And it's a simple platform with very simple issues, but he's showing us the way he's using it in combination with other platforms. So this is kind of a good example of what I mentioned earlier, that if you are not that into technology, into the cloud, into the platforms, you have a lot of options. It's a simple platform, friendly platform to follow. But if you are into technology and you can handle different platforms and the cloud and, I don't know, transmissions, videos, and whatever you want, this is what Benjamin is actually doing.
Yeah, so if you look at, let me go back here now. So I'm in the point where I want to insert a file, and you'll notice here under recent, this is nice because when I'm working in my Google Drive, and let me jump over to my Google Drive. This is my Google Drive, and I set up my classes in Google Drive from the beginning. So I have courses that I organize. So for example, in Writing 1, this is my folder, my classroom folder that has all of the folders and files that I'm going to use for this course. So I first organize all of my courses in Google Drive, and it's a little slow right here, but as I open up my classroom folder in Writing 1, you'll see all the folders and files that are currently in this folder. Now, this is interesting, PD, because when I create a course in Google Classroom, it automatically creates folders and files in Google Drive.
Oh, cool.
Okay, so it pushes all the information that I create when I post and create a class. It automatically creates a space, a folder for that class. Now, in that folder, I can add additional information as I want, which I've done here. But this folder that I'm looking at now actually was created automatically from Google Classroom when I created the class the first day, again, in Google Classroom. So it, again, pushes information to this. When I create an assignment in Google Classroom, that assignment is added as a folder in Google Drive. Okay,
Ben, this is I think we're having very important things in here, because this is one of the aspects I've always when I talk about technology and I talk about platforms with teachers. One of the things they mention is that it may get to be complex for beginners in technology to start working on their own files in their computer and have everything there organized, and then look for a way to upload whatever they need to upload to the platform they're going to use. That's why I'm guessing, and this is just my hunch, that's why maybe platforms like the social networks like Facebook are very famous, because you don't have to make an organization. You just upload whatever you need at the moment. Now, what you're showing us right now, it may be something important for new teachers that have not migrated to using the cloud. The cloud is a repository. It's your files, but in the internet, in your private zone where nobody else can have access. So what you're telling me is that if you start working in Google Classroom, it automatically organizes your file in a cloud, which is called Google Drive. I mean, it's the organization of your files in your own space in the cloud, which I think is very helpful when we don't actually know, or we have complexity in organizing, reorganizing, and then I have to go to the platform of the class and reorganize everything there again, which is one of my complaints for some of the platforms that are used in education, that you cannot do this. You have to re-upload and you have to reorganize here and there and everywhere, and that's what makes it complex. I think what you are showing us, it's a very good way to start deciding migrating from whatever I do in my files to the cloud, and at the same time have a class.
Yeah, and the nice thing here is, like, if I'm ever working first in some sort of document in my Google Drive, it will remember and keep as recent folders. It will appear here. So a lot of times if something's current or I've been working on it fairly recently, it's easy to find those files when I'm trying to insert them into my drive. But if I want to just go to my normal drive and search every file and folder in my drive, I can certainly do that. But it's fairly easy here, I think, to insert something from your Google Drive. And again, the idea here is when you create, even before you create a Google Classroom, you're going to need an account with Google, right? But if you have an account with Google, you have a Google Drive. And Google Drive is going to give you, I think, 15 megs of gigabytes, I guess, of, megs, 15 gigabytes of space free. And really the only condition, if you want to call it a drawback or limitation that one would have, is on a free account, you're going to be limited to those 15 gigabytes of space. Now, having said that, if you're only using Google Docs, for example, or documents that are part of Google, so Google Docs, Google Sheets, and Google Slides, those types of documents are not used towards your quota. They're not used towards the minimum amount of space in your account. So as long as you don't have a lot of PDFs and images, you're not going to be using up any of your space if you stick to those three types of documents. And for most educational purposes, PD, those are the three, a word processor, a presentational software, and a spreadsheet are pretty much all you're going to need for the most part. And I think there's workarounds where you could easily avoid PDFs and images, and I'll talk about that here in a minute with Google Photos, but you really don't need those other types of file formats that are going to eat up space in your account. So I don't think that, although it's a limitation, if you're careful in your planning and how you design your homework, that you're not going to have a problem running out of space with the free account if you choose just to use the free account.
All
so going here on the announcement, so you can also upload a video. All right, so here I am opening up a search feature, so you can search by URL, or you can just type in, if you're looking for a sentence fragment. So if I'm looking for videos for sentence fragments that I want to talk about, here I have a list, right? These aren't my videos. These are just videos across YouTube that are available that I can use, okay? And insert those if I wish.
Okay.
And you can insert more than one item as well. So it's not just one item. And you can link. You can link different web pages. And again, you can have a series. So all of these, you can use a combination of these and have 2 or 3 different links or attachments to your one single announcement post.
Okay.
And the great thing that I like here is you can save as a draft. You can schedule it, which I do a lot. I usually don't schedule my post until the first minute of the class, right at the beginning of the class, so they don't feel overwhelmed that they're getting a lot of messages outside of class, that I post it right at the beginning of class when we begin our class face to face, and we're talking about the topic at that time. Or of course I can post it as normal. I can post it in real time.
It looks very friendly. It looks almost like a Facebook post. Just the only thing is that you have to familiarize with the icons to know what each of them is, but it's pretty much the same function.
Exactly. So now let's look at classwork, because that's a little bit different, and I'll go back to my map here. So earlier I talked about having different questions that I'm posing for each week. So if I go back into now my classwork, this is where all the assignments reside. So I have chosen to create topics, and each of these in green are topics. So week 1, getting started. Week 2, what makes a good friend. Week 3, what makes a good classmate, and so on. And so each of these, all of these assignments are broken down into topics. And since we have 16 weeks for the course, we have 16 topics. And each topic or each week has its own essential question. And the essential questions are the deep thinking ideas, the content, if you will, of the course. These are the topics or the subjects of the week that we want to explore for our writing activities. So here for week 1, you'll notice that, and as normal, at the first week, there's always a lot of different activities because there's a lot of different small activities that I want to try to accomplish. But for example, in this class, they started with learning expectations, which we actually talked about in one of our past broadcasts and teacher learning cast. But here you'll see all of the different assignments that students need to make. Now, some of these assignments are for grades and other assignments are not for grades. So when you create an assignment, you can also have access to all of the different types of sources that you can attach. So this looks kind of familiar to the announcement, with the exception of here, you can assign points, or if you want to not grade it, that's fine. You can also assign a due date as well as a time. You can actually assign an hour, and you can assign the topic. Which topic do you want this assignment to apply to? Okay. So that it appears as it does currently in the appropriate topic. You'll have a title of for your assignment, and you'll have instructions, presumably. And you can also assign it on the fly. You can schedule it, and you can save it as a draft. It's not going to show me now because I don't have anything. I have to populate this information. But you're given the same options as the announcements. So it just has a little bit more information. It's very similar to announcement, but now you have these due dates and points and so on, and that's what it looks like when you try to post.
All right.
Now, let's look at one that's already been posted so that you see what it looks like from the teacher's side. So last week, one of our assignments was to develop a paragraph as a group. So I'm going to go in, and you'll notice here that here are the instructions for the task. It shows here 13 have turned it in, 24 were assigned. So we're still missing some to turn it in. But let me click here. Well, let's see. Here's a link to this is just a video. This is kind of just an informative kind of an explanation of what makes a good classmate, because that was the topic that we discussed last week. But now we're inside the assignment, and here you'll see the students and those who have turned it in, those who haven't. And from here, I can go in individually and grade each one of these, which I'm not going to do now, but this is the information that I can go into and grade their work.
Okay.
All right. Now, one of the things that I really love about this is, and I hope that I can show you, let me see if I can open up. One of the great things, right now we're looking at it on a desktop computer.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the great things about this app is the ease of which you can use and grade assignments on your cell phone. Mm-hmm. And I didn't save this, so let me see if I can find my photo album really quickly to show you. I have a couple of screenshots so that you can get an idea about what it looks like on your mobile device. Mm. But this is one of the greatest things I think about the app is the ease of the way that it just the ease of use for grading other assignments with you using your cell phone. So let me see if I can open this up real quick here. All right, so here's a photo album that I just created with some screenshots of Google Classroom, and let me bring this up here for you. All right, so let's see here. It's a little slow. And the same way for the students. All of my students, I don't think anyone uses Google Classroom on a desktop. They're all using their cell phones. Okay, so no one is using Google Classroom on a regular computer. Okay. But this is what it looks like. This is the home screen now. This is a screenshot from my phone, and it's got my courses. If I go into writing one, actually before I do that, this is what it looks like under settings. So here, when I get notifications, when students upload assignments, I get notifications. When students send me an email through Google Classroom, I get a notification. So it's very easy to keep track of who sent me what do I need to check, if they turn in an assignment, and it really helps my workflow to stay organized and make sure that I'm not missing someone's assignment. So notifications I rely on heavily. It's a very useful feature. There's also a calendar, so it's going to link to my Google Calendar. So all these due dates for assignments are also posted to my Google Calendar. So I'm not going to open up that, but this is what notifications looks like. So students will send, their work and so on. The calendar, it'll open up a calendar that I can look at, so I can also see my personal calendar as well as my academic calendar together, which is helpful for me. This is what the stream looks like. So it's very similar to what it looks like on the desktop, but you'll notice that it's still very easy, very user-friendly, and very accessible, I feel, as far as just accessing the information on one's cellular phone.
Yep.
and Classroom. So you have all the assignments. It's easy for me to add as a teacher. I can add assignments very easily on my phone or tablet. And the people, here's a list of all the people. I can send emails directly if I need to. But again, the cell phone, today, everybody's using cell phones. So any app or platform that you choose, if it's not user friendly on a mobile device, you're wasting your time. It's just don't even go there. I think most apps these days are working are working with the idea that it works well on mobile device.
What teachers don't what we are looking at here is something, again, we go to the friendly part. If you see what we saw in the cell phone is something like your contacts in for making phone calls. It's just having a list of people that it's in the class, and then you skip to another part where you have the calls, let's say the calls, but instead of having the calls, we do have the papers they are delivering there. I like that.
Yeah, so here's what it looks like with the people here, list of all the students, right? And so if I need to email them, I can email the student. They can email themselves. They can interact and send private emails if need be. I can add a teacher if I want. I can add a teacher to co-teach if I choose. And in fact, I did that in another class. But basically, that's it. You've got basically the stream, the classroom, classwork, and then people to contact. And that's really it. I don't think there's much more to talk about with the classwork. I will say that you can create a question. You can reuse posts, which I really use. I have my students complete a learning journal every week. So I don't have to create a whole nother assignment every week because it's basically the same assignment. So I just reuse a post and it will automatically copy or create another post, and I can just modify it for that current week. Okay. And also I can create a topic, of course. Okay, so those are basically the options under the create button under classwork. We talked about stream and we talked about people. People, you can either be added directly. I can invite students myself as the instructor, or there's a class key that I won't share with you now, but I will share with you Teacher Learning Cast. Another way to take a look at some of the past recordings. I created a quote-unquote classroom for Teacher Learning Cast. So if you go under classwork, you'll notice that all the past videos that we've created for Teacher Learning Cast, you may access these by topic. And so all of the past recordings can be accessible from this Google Classroom. If you're interested, this is the class code. This is an open public space. Anyone can join. And here's the class code. If you go to Google Classroom and you enter this code, then you will automatically be part of this classroom. And again, I'm calling it classroom, not necessarily as a classroom, but just as a way to interact, another way to interact with past recordings in addition to the Facebook page that we have. So if you click here, for example, you can check out the recording and you can post as well. You can post comments to the stream and be part of the conversation this way if you so incline.
Good. I'm saying again, it depends on how far you want to take it in agreement with everything else you are doing. For example, right now you're looking at an example for Teacher Learning Cast in Google Classroom. It's just an organization of everything we have in different platforms, and the videos we transmit through. We are using a Hangout. We use the YouTube live transmission, and we have some documents at Drive that we handle ourselves. But here you can have all of that into Google Classroom. Again, you can go directly, use it very simply, just purely the classroom and documents, and that's it. Or you can embed other technology in there.
Yes, absolutely. All right. This is the other class, composition, and I handle it very similarly as the writing one class. So this is basically the same idea. I upload a lot of information throughout the week, videos primarily. Here's an example of a post from Blogger. So I have a personal blog at benjaminlstewart.org, and this is a way for me to repurpose some of the past posts that I've created. So, for example, I knew that students were having questions about APA. And so here I just linked to a page in Blogger. And this is an example here of a page that I have in my personal blog. And again, it's just another way for me to repurpose. You know, I create a lot of content on my personal blog, and I'm always trying to find ways to repurpose it. That is, try to find ways to republish it in different ways so that it becomes more accessible and hopefully useful for others. So in this case, I just try to link what I write and create in my blog, and as necessary, we'll link it to my classes. And this is what I've done here in this case. So because Blogger is part of Google, it's all integrated, and it works very nicely and seamlessly across all of these different, Google platforms. So this is another example of how I'm integrating the different platforms.
Ben, what do you like the most from Google Classroom so far?
What I like about Google Classroom is that it integrates with the other Google services, and that to get started, it does not take me any time to get started. I mean, it's very simple and very quick to begin creating a class and getting started. And I feel that it's the same with my students, that the ease of getting started and getting into the class and the purpose of the class is very quick, and it's easy, I think, for both the teacher and the student.
All right, that's why I buy the same brand in mobile phone and screens at home, because it all fits. We're coming to almost the hour of a transmission, but I'd like to ask you, what challenges have you faced so far with it?
The challenges, again, now we're starting the fourth week of school, so I may have a different answer at the end of the semester if you ask me the same question. But really, for now, I think one of the things that I'm still learning about, and this may just be partly I'm still learning the platform, is that that the point here is that sometimes it's a challenge to capture some of the comments from students. And again, most of the time, if they submit as an assignment to turn in an assignment, then I get the information, I get the notification, and I'm able to reply. But if they don't submit the assignment, then I may not get the message that they post.
All right. Okay.
And so it's really part of like teaching the student to submit, because that's not quite as intuitive. It's not as obvious. And so students need to learn that whenever they want me to check something, when they finish an assignment, that they need to turn it in. There's basically a button, excuse me, that they need to click in order to submit the assignment. So when they submit it, then I get a notification, and then I know to check it. And so that's probably the biggest challenge, is kind of teaching and working with students so that they know when they're finished and they want me to look at an assignment, that they have to click it so that it's officially turned in, and then I get the notification.
Now, is there a way, well, maybe this is gonna also lead me to my other question. Is there a way you can put a level there, a tag or something, so they don't forget to click there?
Not that I know of. I think I'm just trying to remind them and, trying to teach them how to kind of, do that, to take that action.
That leads me to the other question. A lot of people that are already a little bit into technology, they like to personalize their own sites, whatever site it is. So how flexible is Google Classroom for personalization in the look mainly?
Yeah, primarily you're able to, let's open up here again. I can change the image, so, and I can change the picture. So I can select a theme here.
Kind of a Windows theme?
Yeah, so if, can you see my screen? Here's the gallery.
Okay.
And so you have different images from this gallery, and then you have patterns if you want to choose a pattern as well. So this would be the theme, and then you can also upload a photo if you wish. And this again will just provide some visual appeal along the top. So everything else underneath is pretty much fixed. Okay, so you can't change much of this, but you can check or select the color scheme, like it's green, and this will change depending on the picture that you use. And you know, there's some automatic adjustments when you select the theme as far as what it looks like.
Basic things, right? In change.
But it's pretty basic. Yeah, I mean, it's you know, it gives you a little bit of freedom on what it looks like. And you know, I like to do it just so that I have enough difference between the two classes that it's very clear, you know, which class I'm in at a particular time. Because sometimes I made a mistake of posting to the wrong class on my phone. So do choose different colors so that at least, you know, at a glance you can always know which class that you're in.
All right. Synchronic communication with the students, is there a way to do so in here?
To sync the, I'm sorry?
Like to have simultaneous conversations?
Not, you know, if you're posting comments in the stream in real time, they're in real time, right? So they're going to be instant. But there's not really a chat feature per se. Yeah, it's more kind of an asynchronous idea here, but it's, you know, if you're sharing a document, as you know, you can share in real time and those changes are immediate. So you can integrate like Google Docs within the classroom experience and offer the synchronous type of communication, but it would be in this case in the form of sharing a document, right? And yeah, and there's one last thing I want to just throw out there really quick. I know we're closing in on an hour here. One of the things that I think also that this is the first time I've tried this, and I've always tried what I often do is I'll write things on the board every day and I'll take pictures of it. And I was always trying to find the best way to share those pictures of board work with the students. And this semester I've finally figured it out, and it's been available for forever, but I finally figured it out. I use Google Photos on my phone, which allows anyone with an account with Google to basically share all the pictures that you take on your phone automatically to Google Photos in the cloud. And there's unlimited space, right? So there's no limit to the photos, the number of photos that you can share. And so I take pictures every single day of what I write on the board. And I have a shared classroom photo album for each of my classes. So for example, this is my photo album for one of my groups in writing 1, Prope A. And you'll notice here that I have pictures of board work, all the videos that I create. If I do a tutorial, video tutorial, I'll include that. Here you'll see a list of pictures of my students. So I always like to take a classroom picture at the beginning of the semester. All of the board work and the videos that I created for the class, and there are a lot. I mean, we just started 3 weeks ago, and I've got a lot of pictures here already.
For the teachers watching, this is a different app. This is not Google Classroom. It's another example of how to embed a different platform. Well, it's from the same brand, Google, but we can embed it into Google Classroom. Now, this is a different app. Okay. Yeah, go on.
Right, exactly. But it integrates very nicely. So students can access, you'll see here the students that have access to all of the images. But this is just an easy way for them to check out board work, things that we've talked about in the past. And, you know, also just to give them some pictures of themselves, you know, that always is helpful. They like to, I think, have pictures
Can you organize folders and things in here?
I don't. I keep this pretty, it's by date. Okay. So I just keep it by date
But
and leave it.
can you
And
do it if you wanted to?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Because it's something I would need. I mean, something I've been looking for my website. In fact, to migrate all the photos from the website to a platform where I have a wide space for photos, and I just add links to my website in that case.
Yeah, because this is a photo album.
Okay.
My understanding is it's just one album, right? And if you want to publish the album, you have different options. You
Okay.
can download the images, of course. You can do a slideshow. You can
Okay,
edit
so
the album.
maybe you don't organize inside, or we don't really know, but at least you have the option to create different albums.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the thing here is that this gets kind of confusing. This would be one of the challenges with Google, is like really knowing where things are. But these images are not in my Google Drive. They're in my Google Photos.
okay.
Now, if I wanted to move those to my Google Drive, then I could create folders as you're mentioning, but it would count towards my minimum quota or my limitation of free space. So that's where you kind of have to decide, okay, what's most important? Do I need all those images? Because these are going to be a lot of images when I end up completing this class. I'm going to have a lot of images that would take up a lot of space on my Google Drive if I were to include those in my folders there. So this is one of the benefits that I like, is that this is just going to stay out of my Google Photos, and it's not going to take up space. And I share these pictures immediately. It's like within seconds, I'll take the picture and I share it with the photo album in just 2 seconds, and they have access to it on their mobile device in real time. I do this before I walk out of the door every day at the end of the class. And so
I know this is something you have done before. I've seen you regularly with pictures from your board, and myself, I've shared pictures from your board sometimes when you have talks for us as guests in my classes. But this leads me to pretty much a final question I have for you, which I don't want to skip, and it may take you a minute because sometimes it's something unconscious. It may take you a minute to think about it, but have you noticed anything that the use of this technology, we're talking about Google Classroom and all the other technologies you use, but now organizing them into Google Classroom, have you noticed any change in your, let's call them teaching trends, what you normally do or you tend to use in classes as your teaching style? Have you noticed anything new or anything transform from your teaching trends?
It's a good question, Piry, and I'm talking now from 3 weeks of experience, right, with this experience. It's a good question because your question about the impact the technology has on the either my teaching practice or the learning practice of my students really is at the heart of why I choose certain technologies. And my answer would be, I don't see a huge difference, because every technology, every decision I've made about technology sets out to do the same thing. That is, students have it's easy for them to get started. They have different ways to experience the same classroom objectives or the class experience, that they have choices. And so in that respect, it's the same, but I think what's different about, at least so far, semester is just the ease of achieving that. The quickness of, starting almost day one. I would say it takes about a week, though, for students to kind of get acclimated to the technology, but it's very easy for them. And they, I think this semester, more than past semesters, students are more engaged in the work. Okay. In the work. And when I say in the work, my students are bringing their cell phones. They're required pretty much to bring their phones with them and use them every single day. So every day they're in their phones, and doing the task at hand. And so we have a screen. If you look at this picture here, this is a typical day in any of my classrooms. You'll have the big screen on here with Google Classroom, and every student will have using their phone to do the task. Now, I will say I always give students options to create their writing text either on their phone, or they can write it in their notebook and then upload it later. So you'll find some students like to write it still on their notebooks, and then later upload to the platform. And so I always give them those options. But I find that every semester, more and more students are bringing either a laptop, kind of a bigger device, because again, this is a writing class, and more students every semester are using their phones to actually input and work in real time in class, face to face, create the text or do the task with their mobile device. But I haven't seen like a drastic change this semester. But I just feel that so far, I think things are going well to where I can say that, so far this platform is working for us. And again, I think the easiness of it really was appealing to me at the beginning. I just wanted to streamline the process. I wanted to make it easier for me, the instructor, and also my students, as far as getting to the work, getting to the task, and in my case, getting to the planning. And I want to be able to share information with all my students and create a lesson plan as quickly and as seamlessly as possible, as I normally do, as far as, because I'm always reading and I'm always trying to get information online. So I wanted just to be able to share information, and whenever they need assistance from me, to be able to post and reach out to them and post in a way that makes sense for them, so they can use that information at that particular time, and also that they can easily find it later on if they need to refer back to it at a later date.
Oh, we can go on and on because I have like 5 more questions, but I'm not gonna make them. I'm just gonna leave one to the air now from your comment that you saw the easiness this semester. This is just an open question, not to be answered. Like, would this be something about the generation itself, that it's already so into tech that it is in their nerves and naturally they instinctively can access these simple platforms? I don't know. That's something I leave for you all to think about and make comments if you want to. Ben, it's been a pleasure. Time has catch us up. I don't know if there's anything you don't want to leave aside.
No, Piry. Really, there's a lot of information, and I know I went through some of it kind of quickly. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to post questions to Teacher Learning Cast in Facebook. If you're interested in joining the Teacher Learning Classroom page, feel free to do that. But share your experiences. We're really curious about what you're using, what challenges you're facing, and because I think we can all really learn from each other. The technology that I'm using is very much related to the context with which I'm in, and so I think whenever we start sharing, it's not a matter of finding out which is best, quote unquote best. It's more like which works best for us based on our own teaching preference, and also our profile for our students, and also the course, the objectives. What are the objectives of the course? Really taking those 3 pieces into consideration when we're making decisions about what the best technology is. So let us know what technologies you're using, share your experiences, and if ever later on you want to be part of the broadcast and share and discuss your own experiences with educational technology, that we would love to have you on.
Right. I think interesting. It's always interesting to see this. I know we are focusing on what we actually do, but the idea is that you guys, teachers, can have examples and adaptations of it. And why not? Maybe if you want us to give it a thought to what it would be like in a different context, just give us your information. Tell us what you're doing, what you're teaching, what your needs are, We may not be your solution, but we may cover some ideas that may help you or may prompt you to your own creations. And that's what we want you to do. Ben, I want to thank you for this presentation of what you're doing in this class. I want to thank the people that always join us. I want to thank Claudia, Carlos, Luis, De La Fuente, Braulio, Rafael, Paul. We had a lot of people coming and going in the Facebook Live transmission. Ricardo also was around here. We got Ceci, Edgar Cornejo, Diana Macias, Abraham, Alfonso, Carmen, Emilio, Nelly. Greetings, Nelly. Haven't seen you in a long time. What you doing? Where are you teaching? Alejandro Martinez. Sorry, Alejandro, that you couldn't connect to the Hangout, but it may be a matter of the mobile phone you are using or something like that. But well, there you had the options. I tried to help you out a little bit with the options. But good. We had an impact already about sharing the Hangout link. Somebody wanted to join. Unfortunately, he couldn't do it. But thank you all for joining us. We also had Oscar around. We had Saraí. We got Carlos. We got Erga Cerros from Zacatecas. Thank you for joining us. I hope you are having some use of this talks we have, maybe just for the sake of listening somebody speaking in English, but good.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us again. And yeah, let's try again next week. If anyone wants to join us, we may keep posting these live links, inviting anyone just to come in and be part of the broadcast. So we'll try that next week and see how that goes. But if anybody wants to know beforehand what the link is, just reach out to us and we'll share that link with you. Thanks, Piry, again. As always, great talking with you this Saturday morning. And we'll conclude this week's broadcast, and we will see everyone in next week's broadcast.
Keep on learning.